Hello and welcome to another quick news video with me, Meoni, for Final Fantasy XIV. This time a look at today, the 24th of January's game updates. There was indeed a hotfix applied to the game that you no doubt noticed when booting up today in the form of a 47.48 megabyte patch. So what exactly was inside this update? A lodestone page actually came out with details. The amount of experience gained by Chocobos when playing as Blue Mage has been adjusted. This is in regards to the amount of experience they were getting, more than when paired with other classes and jobs in the game in open areas. They have adjusted the amount of experience significantly from what it has been in the Blue Mage patch. However, the amount of experience they say gained by playing as classes or jobs other than Blue Mage has been increased to match that of Blue Mage. People have tested this out today already on Reddit, which I'll link in the description, and where before today's hotfix you would gain around 10,000 experience for your Chocobo from level 49 mobs on a level 50 Blue Mage, now those numbers are closer to 870 experience or so. But that's on all classes and not just for Blue Mage. So technically a buff all round to experience gain from what it was before the Blue Mage actually existed, but not as good as when Blue Mage came out, as Square Enix deemed it too powerful. Mind Blast / Glower are now guaranteed to be learned. This is in response to people complaining that they made it a required spell to progress the storyline of Blue Mage, but gave it RNG to acquire. I personally didn't see a problem with it, but that's a thing they've changed. The server backup function will now display a loading icon and message when the recovery data is displayed. This change will only affect PlayStation 4 users. And here are some interesting fixes. Inside the Auburn Monastery, defeating Agrius immediately after players had been relocated to another area would prevent players from leaving that area. An extraneous message would also appear after the battle against Agrius, extraneous meaning irrelevant and unrelated, for those of us like myself who had to actually search for a definition to that word. Auburn Monastery also got a few smaller fixes as well into the following issues. Jumping whilst being warped would cause a second warp to occur, and bosses would not be displayed under certain conditions. Reef of Snakes Normal and Extreme has had issues too. There was an issue where revived players could be incapacitated again by receiving damage under certain conditions, despite a period of invulnerability afforded after revival. And in Extreme mode specifically, players would sometimes receive damage despite having evaded the Great Typhoon mechanic. It's nice to see that they have fixed those issues as well. There's a great deal of other changes, so let's just blast through them. In the Howling Eye Extreme, Feather Rain could not be learned under certain conditions. In the Bowl of Embers Normal, Eruption could not be learned and is now learnable in normal mode. In Alexander the Cup of the Sun, certain conditions during the battle against Vortexer would cause the server to crash. This actually happened to my server Ragnarok last night. It's nice to see they fixed that, and there are still bugs inside Alexander, which is exceptional. The Astrologian action Celestial Opposition and Time Dilation would extend the duration of effects previously applied to another party member while playing as another job, would extend the duration of effects beyond the maximum limit under certain conditions. In PvP instances, reviving would reset the action cooldown timer. During dungeon instances, characters would sometimes disappear when party members were distanced too far apart from each other. During the quest My Power, My Pleasure, My Pain, dialogue would sometimes not be displayed when talking to certain NPCs. Essentially, a lot of the other fixes are dialogue changes here to Cyriu's Wall, Uninvited. Adkarog's dialogue was changed on the new Custom Deliveries NPC. The Wandering Dramaturge's dialogue was incorrect. And then we have an interesting one about housing. Placing the wooden beam indoor finishing item would cause the client to crash under certain conditions. Yikes. In the fishing log, the habitat information for pomegranate trout was incorrect. In Doman Mahjong then, after a pawn or chi, the opponent's hand would incorrectly appear to have more tiles. Also in Mahjong, ranking sometimes would not change despite meeting the required conditions, and in Duty Finder, the Mahjong section would be displayed incorrectly under certain conditions as well. Also, extraneous letters would be displayed in the message after aborting a hand. Using the abbreviated subcommand for text command /blue spellbook would cause the client to crash. The chat log would incorrectly display the world name for the Siren world, which is rather entertaining. I'm not sure what it actually said. Using the server backup feature to save new data when all 10 saved data slots were full would overwrite the newest slot rather than the oldest, which was on the PlayStation 4 version only, and controller vibration was disabled under certain conditions, just permanently. Apparently your controller will start to vibrate again if you're having issues with that on PS4. In the mount guide and minion guide, selecting the 26th result with a gamepad or controller in search results yielding more than 26 results would actually crash the client. The item text Flute of the Plume was incorrect. In the description for the Blue Mage action Bad Breath, the effect rates for damage reduction dealt, heavy and slow were not indicated. In the Blue Magic spellbook, the description of certain abilities was also incorrect as well. The name of the main scenario quest, The Will of the Moon, was displayed in Japanese. So basically, most of these were smaller changes, but there were some bigger ones as well, especially to the raid content. It's nice to see that a lot of these have been reported and they're reading the forums, so we're getting quick responses to a lot of this content. It's very interesting about the Blue Mage companion experience gain issues, but honestly you should be seeing an overall better experience with your Chocobos if that's something you desire to do, the whole leveling thing. Personally, I don't see how any of this needed to be changed really, but it is what it is, and I guess Square Enix decided that it was a bit too powerful as an incentive for Blue Mage. Either way, thank you for watching. Let me know what you think about any of these changes below, whether or not any of the issues listed were actually affecting you, or perhaps there are some that are still in the game that are not actually fixed, but are still plaguing the game. Either way, thank you kindly for watching, and I'll see you all next time.